Today, Kat said something so dumb that I don't know how Kat stands could even defend it. She said that Eva calling their father dad is worse than Tomas cheating on her with Eva. Good afternoon, Beyond the Gates fans. Couldn't talk to y'all yesterday because there was no episode. We had a repeat on yesterday for the holiday, but an all-new Tuesday episode today here on November 11th, 2025. I really feel like there was only two storylines that really got a lot of attention today, but there was kind of a third storyline that got attention too. It was a entertaining enough episode for me today, although one of the stories does get on my nerves, and that's what we're going to start with, and that is the character they call Kat. And I know there's a lot of Kat stands over on little old Twitter that try to defend Kat at all costs, but the way they write Kat, I just can't not help but talk my crap about the character because of the way they do write her. Kat was utterly ridiculous today. Coming off of the Friday episode where Martin was being ridiculous, her brother and Kat can see how ridiculous Martin was being. I guess today Kat decided she needed to up her brother in being the most ridiculous character on the show. They definitely are siblings, and they definitely are spoiled brats in the way that they communicate or their lack of communication with people. Kat was still mad at Ted today because on Friday's episode she learned that Ted is now allowing Eva to call her dad, which has just sent Kat into her latest tailspin with her hatred for Eva. Today Kat said something so dumb that I don't know how Kat stands could even defend it. She said that Eva calling their father dad is worse than Tomas cheating on her with Eva. I mean, is that not one of the stupidest quotes from a show you'll ever hear? The character of Kat sounded dumb with that alone today. But then she was talking shit about that when Tomas overheard her saying that Eva doing that was worse than Eva sleeping with Tomas. Kat played that off, but Eva followed Kat over there to confront Kat today. Eva probably was more in the wrong here because she was at a private property getting into it with Kat. Although Kat got into it with Eva at her place of work, and Eva's not going to get down and dirty there. So I don't blame Eva for tracking Kat down to call her a spoiled little bitch, because at least she was dropping facts. Per usual, though, Kat goes as low as she can, basically saying things like Eva will always be a secret, she belongs in the gutter. But at least Eva finally did something I think was long overdue, threatening that if Kat wants a fight, she's a lot better at actual fighting than Kat would be because, you know, she's a spoiled old rich bitch. I've been waiting for Eva to threaten to drag Kat for real for a long time. You know, they've made Eva seem like she grew up so poor and that she grew up having a street life, but they haven't made her street enough for me when it comes to this situation with Kat. Because I do feel like the character of Kat needs a good old slapping. I feel like characters like Kat that are willing to try and be so cutthroat in tearing down a person always need to meet the wrong one, and that wrong one might drag their ass. So I would love to see it, but I don't know if we're going to get any physical confrontations from Eva and Kat anytime soon. But it would be nice to see Eva kick some ass, because Kat does always go too low. And, well, it is true that Eva is not innocent in all of this. She did help her mother when they first came to town, and she always tries to help her mother from getting in trouble with the law. But it's really two sides of the same coin. Eva's always trying to help her criminal mother with her criminal activities, and Kat, is always trying to stick up for her mom in this situation that Ted and Leslie and Eva ruined her mother's life. They really both do the same thing, and they can't see that common ground. Now, the characters around Kat at least do call her out on her bullshit. I don't know if they were necessarily right today in saying that Eva was like less in the wrong because Kat provoked Eva to threaten Kat, because Eva did come to this, private property to confront Kat. But at the same time, if I was in Kat's life and Kat was always going off the handle about this other girl every day, all day, almost every episode for months now, Kat has something to say about Eva. I mean, I would get tired of hearing that too. Kat is the one that accepts this boy, Tomas, into her life again after he did cheat on her with Eva. And she doesn't seem to mind that, but she minds Eva calling Ted dad. It's pretty ridiculous. I did like that Chelsea told Kat at one point today, because earlier in the episode, Kat told Eva that Eva is just like her mom, Leslie. Chelsea's saying that she's the one that acts more like Leslie, which prompted more threats from Kat about what she might do to Eva. But Chelsea couldn't get through to Kat today when it came to her father. As I said to begin this video, Kat was just utterly ridiculous. Chelsea saying that Ted's not going to know how Kat feels if she doesn't communicate with Ted about how she feels about the whole Eva situation. But Kat already made up her mind, saying that if Eva's going to call Ted dad, then Ted only has one daughter now. So yeah, my final thoughts on that whole situation is Kat is ridiculous, and I would really love it for one day the twist we talked about months ago to actually be a thing where Kat actually ends up being Leslie's daughter and there was a whole switched at birth and Eva is Nicole's. It would just be the biggest pie in the face to the character of Kat. It would be the one thing that would completely shatter her as a character. But the way they write her as so over the top in her hatred, it wouldn't surprise me if that's the direction it goes in one day. So Izaiah met with Bill today, which was Hayley meeting Izaiah for the first time, and Hayley was pretty smitten with Izaiah. They have been testing Izaiah with different characters since he started. We saw him tested with Eva, of course, that's the main test. But now with Hayley, they also tested him with Naomi a little bit, in my opinion. So maybe the show realizes they don't have a couple with real chemistry besides the triangle of Danny, Andre, Bill, that they actually maybe want to see who Izaiah really has chemistry with before they go in that direction. That's a hope anyway. That's what soap operas used to do back in the day. Bill and Izaiah met over his contract for his new job, which seemed a little extreme for a contract at a college, but whatever. Then Bill basically passes Izaiah off to his associate Tomas, so Izaiah goes to the bar and calls Tomas to meet him there, but runs into Eva, who's having a drink. So Izaiah and Eva do a little bit more bonding, although they mostly talked about Kat. And Eva wondering why she ever tried with Kat, which was another good point, that Eva is the only one that's at least ever tried to have a sisterly relationship with Kat. And even in this episode, Tomas called Kat out for putting Eva above their relationship. It's been her biggest obsession for months, and no other time will I accept a comment about how Eva's just obsessed with Kat, because it's not true. That's not the way they've written this for months now. Kat's been all about Eva. Eva's the one trying to move on with Izaiah. Kat's still obsessed. Anyway, back to Hayley figuring out that Izaiah used to be a bad boy. That seemed to excite her even more. We are still getting a lot of information about Isaiah's past. It really does seem like he was running the streets. But the only other thing that happened with this was, of course, towards the end of the episode, Hayley was poisoning Bill's soup again. She's still trying to poison and kill Bill with that slow-ass poison. The other big story, though, was the follow-up to Samantha acting out at the end of Friday's episode. I like the way they handled this today, with Tyrell being the first one to try and console her. June arriving because Smitty called June to track Samantha down. I like that we got some mother-daughter scenes with June and Samantha. June rightfully said that the only bad person in this situation is not Samantha. It's not her dad's. It's Nathan, who has brought out the worst in Samantha. Samantha she was being a teenager. I like the way that they've made Samantha a teenager. I mean, it is the right way to write her. She is a teenager and she's an adopted teenager. I feel like Samantha should maybe actually be acting out even more than she does because of her being adopted. When I was in school growing up, there was this girl that was adopted, and in middle school she was fine, but then in high school she really started acting out because, like it or not, we are all our childhood traumas. And I think that this is going to maybe be Samantha's childhood trauma as she grows as a character. But right now, they are at least doing a good job of having June and Samantha reconnect. I also, if they're going to keep the Nathan story going, which I don't know if they are, but if they are, I hope they don't write him as a caricature. And they really haven't so far, because Nathan and Samantha's scenes, he's actually been respectful towards her. But then we had the scene where Jessica and Tyrell overheard him on the phone basically saying Samantha's just going to be another notch in his belt, which was a bit caricaturish, but he could have just been on the phone bragging to his friends, and he maybe is actually not that terrible of a person. Because if they don't make him a caricature, I think that actually adds more layers to a potential Samantha-Nathan relationship. But June got through to Samantha really good today, talking about her own experience growing up, about how she said some horrible things to her mother when her father died, and how she never got to have one final conversation with her mother about her real feelings, and they kind of just buried hard feelings for each other, and she didn't want Samantha to do that with her dad's. And then on the other side of things, I liked that Smitty was able to get through to Martin, who was totally absurd on Friday. And I like that Smitty called out Martin about how he was supposed to be running things by Smitty. That's the way they're supposed to work on their marriage. Martin was saying this wasn't about their marriage, this was about their daughter, but Smitty rightfully pointing out that this is just Martin's big problem with his entire family. It's what I talked about on Friday about why Martin is such a bad father, because he's always flying off the handle. I don't know how Nicole and Ted raised their kids, but they did a really shit job. Like, Kat and Martin are two of the most insufferable characters on the show when it comes to how much of control freaks that they are. They are the two biggest control freaks on the show, besides maybe like the big villains, Leslie and Joey. After the big villains, Leslie and Joey, Martin and Kat are the two biggest control freaks on the show. But Smitty did a good job of letting Martin not be so hard today. So when Samantha came home and apologized for everything, Martin was also more lenient and will let her continue to work for Chelsea Cat at least. So it seems like Martin and Samantha are at least finding some common ground, which is good for them as a family. Maybe also some growth for both characters. I have enjoyed the Samantha story though, so I'm hoping this is not just the story being wrapped up in a neat little bow. I'm hoping there is more to go. I feel like they can build off of what they've already built with Samantha, Tyrell, and the family here. But it does seem like the show might focus more on Tyrell and Jessica again. It seems like Martin and Smitty want to have dinner with Jessica's parents, which is a smart thing for them to do as parents. So we'll see how the Jessica and Tyrell relationship develops. Overall, it was good to have Beyond the Gates back today after it not being on yesterday, and I expect there to be at least one more full week, if not 2 more full weeks of repeat episodes within the next month and a half for the rest of the year, because CBS only ordered so many episodes this year, which is why there have been so many times where the show's not on. I don't know when those weeks with repeat episodes will be yet though, but I'm assuming for the holidays probably. But the rest of the week we have new episodes this week, and I'm looking forward to them. Hopefully they can build off some momentum today, because it was an overall entertaining episode to me today.